Why didn't I close my eyes fast enough? That line was written by a little girl in her diary that was just released in the Epstein files. Now, before I begin, I want to give a pretty serious trigger warning. This video discusses child trafficking, sexual abuse, and the loss of a baby. It's heavy, and so please take care of yourself before continuing. I'm Eliza Orland's career public defender for 15 years in Manhattan. So she says, why didn't I close my eyes fast enough? A little girl writes this in code in her diary. It's part of a 32-page document in the most recent release of the 3.5 million Epstein files. And it was written contemporaneously while she was being trafficked. Not afterward, it wasn't given as testimony, it was written in real time as it was happening. Now, before I continue talking about this particular document, I want to be clear. I'm not going to sensationalize it, but I am going to explain what this document is, what it contains, and why it matters. I'm starting with this diary because in the next videos, I'm going to walk through the network of people who made Jeffrey Epstein pretty much untouchable. The doctors, the lawyers who gave him sweetheart deals, and the prosecutors who buried complaints and didn't prosecute him, the other lawyers who remained chummy and friendly with him and gave him all sorts of advice, the cops who protected him, the bankers who moved his money, the CEOs who did business with him, the politicians who stayed close to him, including people like Elon Musk and Donald Trump, who maintained associations with Epstein long after he was convicted, and these serious allegations, everyone knew this was public. So you can go back to my first video to hear more about them, but you need to understand who this man was that this little girl was writing about in these pages, because this is what they enabled. This is what they chose not to see, not to stop. And so if you want to understand how this happened and who helped make it possible, make sure you're following me, because I will continue breaking this down in future videos, but I want to get into it. Okay, so let's talk about what this document is. This is a diary. It's stamped confidential for attorneys' eyes only. It is clearly a litigation document, and it's real. It is not a statement that was prepared for court. It's not a police interview. This is a document that is being documented in real time, contemporaneous, as we call it. You can see her mind working in real time, trying to stay intact inside of this horrific life that was treating her as property. The pages don't move in a straight line. There are fractures and loops and collapse. It's collages. She's got magazine clippings and advertisements. She's got poems and things reassembled, handwriting, in code where she's letter on top of letter. And it looks, not a doctor, but it looks like she's dissociating. Now, in terms of what the diary contains and what it establishes, she was trafficked. She was controlled by Jeffrey Epstein, by Ghislaine Maxwell, and by a network of drivers, handlers, doctors, etc. She became pregnant more than once. She describes a procedure, a doctor, a shot, rod-like instruments with a hook, blood and water everywhere. And Ghislaine told her to close her eyes, but she didn't. Why didn't I close my eyes fast enough? That line repeats throughout her diary. Later, she gives birth. Not in a hospital, but in a house near Jeffrey's property in Palm Beach. An elderly French woman delivers the baby. She describes being on her hands and knees, pushing, terrified, blood on the floor. The baby was a girl. She was beautiful. She cried. She describes getting to hold her, wash her, feed her, and smell her for maybe 15 minutes. Then a man came to take the baby. She begged for more time, and she was denied. She recorded the baby's weight, 4 pounds, 10 ounces, 18.5 inches long. Beautiful, long fingers. She wrote it down because her memory would be the only thing that she would be allowed to keep. After that, the diary changes. She says things like, I am dead inside. Life has no meaning. I don't want to be here. Now, her diary names people by name, full name: Jeffrey, Ghislaine, Jean-Luc Brunel, who she calls a disgusting pig. She references locations: Palm Beach, New Mexico, a place she spells Mar-a-Lago, where she says she sees people. She calls Mr. Joe and Mrs. Ann. She describes being sent back to Brunel 6 weeks after giving birth as punishment for trying to run. She describes Jeffrey's obsession with a superior gene pool. Why her hair color? Why her eye color? She writes, that feels very Nazi-like. She was made to play the piano because he believed music would create perfect offspring. She calls herself a human incubator. I think in so many ways people expect abuse to look chaotic, like an emergency, but this diary shows the opposite. It shows that this abuse just runs on a schedule. There were people rotating through, transporting her, houses set up near the main property, handlers waiting in cars. The horror is that no one saw, but the horror is that everyone saw, and the system kept running. She writes, "I know people are wondering, but I can't tell." Visibility was not the problem. Near the end, she starts pasting in clippings and beginning to rebuild, seemingly, dream to build a better world, all to see. She writes about herself in third person as someone who went from a beautiful young girl to a sad, broken child, but who still had something inside herself. She writes, "She came in like a lamb and went out like a lioness." The final page is a photograph, a little girl in a pink dress holding flowers walking away. It sits there like a ghost. This diary exists because a child refused to let her story disappear even while the world was trying to force her to. The fact that we can read it now is not closure. It is an indictment, and once you've seen it, looking away is not neutral. If you want to understand how this happened and it continued to happen and who helped make it possible, you can read the documents yourself, or you can follow me because I'll be breaking down the doctors, lawyers, bankers, CEOs, politicians, cops, and everyone else who kept Jeffrey Epstein untouchable. And I'm not done, so follow me so you don't miss what's next.